recognize the presence of our big brother, General Dramani. These are people who have been a part of the history of building our nation states, and we're happy that he's still with us and in very good health. I also want to recognize my friend and brother, former President Kabum Beki. We've worked together on several continental issues, and I'm happy that he's able to join us today. I wish to recognize our guest speaker who's going to talk to us today, Professor Adedapo Asaju, and we're all looking to a beautiful lecture. We're willing to learn from him and to make any comments that are appropriate. Let me recognize the board and management of the Obafemi Awolowo Foundation, particularly Executive Director, Ambassador Dr. Awolowo Foundation, for your kind invitation to be part of this program. I want to congratulate the foundation on the 30th anniversary of its birth, and also to thank the foundation for the honor done me in asking me to chair this 30th anniversary commemorative lecture. And let me welcome all participants who have joined us from across the world on this virtual platform. Today happens to be the Independence Day for Ghana. Safe March, Ghana gained freedom in 1957. And the coincidence of Awolowo's, Chief Obafemi Awolowo's birthday on 6th March and Ghana's independence as the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence cannot be lost on all of us. I think that is a beautiful coincidence that this happened to a person who was a strong fighter against decolonization and played a very important role in the early years of his own nation state, Nigeria, after Nigeria gained independence. And so on this occasion, I wish my own country, my president, Nana Akufo-Addo, ministers of state, members of parliament, and all the people of Ghana, I wish everybody a happy Independence Day. Nigeria is a greater country than Ghana in terms of size, in terms of population, in terms of economy, but fortunately there's one thing Nigeria cannot take from Ghana, is that we're the senior brother and we became independent before Nigeria did in 1957. And so we'll always continue to be that senior brother. But of course our nations are sister states, and our people are one and the same, and we consider each other members of the same family. In 2 weeks, we play a grand match to win one of the slots to the World Cup. And in football, I wish my nation wins, but I would say that it's going to be a friendly match between two brothers. And whoever qualifies, of course, we will support that person in the World Cup. But I hope and pray that Ghana wins that slot. The world is changing very fast, and we have to keep track of what's happening, and that's why this lecture is very important in respect of what values we need in terms of the development of our nations. We had the Second World War, which ended in 1945, and post-Second World War, we had the decolonization movement starting. Of course, we had the Pan-African movements and all that. And nation states started to fight for their independence, both in Africa, in Asia, and in Latin America. Of course, Ghana got independence in 1957. But at the time we got independent, we had moved into another phase, which was the Cold War. And we had a bipolar world with the Eastern Bloc and the Western Bloc. Later, the Iron Curtain fell, and we ushered in the era of globalization, where the world became a global village, and people could travel from one part of the world to the other, unrestricted. After that, we've experienced the issues of climate change. We've had the issue of pandemics and epidemics. We in West Africa suffered Ebola, and now the world is going through the pandemic of COVID. Yes, we hope we're coming out of it, but still COVID has affected, global affairs in a very major way. Currently, we are trying to understand, and people are extrapolating what kind of new world we're going in with the current turbulence in geopolitics in respect of redrawing the boundaries of nations. We currently have the Ukraine-Russia war, which is affecting all nations across the world, and we have to begin to analyze, into what phase the world is going, so that we as African countries can adjust to be able to make sure that our people are not disadvantaged. But let's talk specifically about AWO's role in decolonization. AWO stands tall, like President Nkrumah of Ghana, in terms of, the fight for independence, and also in terms of shaping their nation states after independence. And I must say that as a social democrat, I associate with him, because being the president of Ghana and the leader of the Social Democratic Party, and having governed as a social democrat, AWO is one of the persons that we identify with. As I said, it's no coincidence that he was born on 6th March, the day that Ghana gained independence, and so for us it holds a specific significance. He was a lawyer, he was a journalist, he was a politician, he was a federalist, and he was also a statesman. But when you talk about values, having come from humble beginnings, we know the values that he held very high. And there was the fact that he was humble, he was modest, he was selfless. Today it's difficult to find people like that. He was courageous, he was resilient. And one thing that he had was he had an unquestionable love for his country. Unfortunately, those values are missing today. We have the values where we have self-aggrandizement, we have opulence, people wishing to show off wealth, and it's themselves first, it's our ethnic group second, and our nation comes a distant third, fourth, or fifth. And we're looking forward to this lecture, because I think that if our guest speaker can reset us in terms of our values as Africans, it will be very important, so that we're able to die a bit and sacrifice a bit for our countries, in order that we can admire our countries too. All those countries we admire in the Western world, it was not all that rosy. Those are 300-year-old democracies. Our country has the oldest sub-Saharan African country, 65 years. And if you look at the history of Korea and all of them, and where they've come from, they went through some of the formative stages that we're going through today. But then the values that they have held in terms of love for that brother, selflessness, in terms of resilience, in terms of courage, in terms of perseverance, in terms of sacrificing so that we can build our nation state. And so I'm very eager to hear the Reverend Professor's lecture, and I'm sure that we're all going to learn from it. And I would have the opportunity to make a few comments at the end of this wonderful lecture. So thank you, Ambassador Dosumwa. Thank you again very much for the kind invitation to be part of this function. Thank you.
Thank you.